It was deep into the night, the kind of hour when silence feels unnatural, when even the air seems to hold its breath, and on a deserted road stretching far beyond the edges of the city, a cold wind dragged dry leaves across the asphalt, creating faint scraping sounds that echoed in the emptiness, while a black SUV moved slowly through the darkness as if it were the only living thing left in the world. And then, without warning, everything shattered in a violent instant. The blinding headlights of a truck, the deafening crash of metal tearing apart, and then nothing but stillness. Swastik was a well-known YouTuber, the face behind a massively popular channel called The Night Hunter, a man who had built his identity on logic, skepticism, and a relentless mission to prove that ghosts, spirits, and all things supernatural were nothing more than illusions of the human mind. He mocked fear, challenged beliefs, and walked into the most dreaded places with nothing but a camera and a smirk, always ending his videos with the same confident line that there was nothing out there, nothing at all. And when one of his subscribers dared him to visit a supposedly haunted orphanage hidden within a forest outside their town, Swastik accepted without hesitation, seeing it as just another opportunity to expose fear as fiction. But that night felt different from the beginning, heavier somehow, as if the darkness itself was waiting. He began his live stream with his usual energy, introducing the challenge, explaining how the orphanage had burned down years ago in a tragic fire that killed several children and an elderly caretaker, a place abandoned ever since, avoided by locals who claimed they could still hear children laughing and crying in the dead of night. But Swastik only smiled at the camera, dismissing it all as superstition, and drove straight to the location, stopping his car in front of a rusted, broken gate that creaked faintly even before he touched it, as though it recognized his arrival. Stepping inside, he swept his camera across the ruins, the collapsed walls, shattered windows blackened by fire, and an overgrown courtyard swallowed by weeds and shadows. His voice calm but laced with excitement as he described the scene, though somewhere beneath that tone there was the faintest hint of unease he refused to acknowledge. Inside, the orphanage felt frozen in time, its floors littered with broken furniture and charred remnants of a life that had ended too suddenly. And as he walked further in, his footsteps echoed sharply, each sound unnaturally loud in the suffocating silence, until he switched on his lights and revealed faded drawings still clinging to the walls, simple sketches of houses, sons, and stick-figure children, which stirred something unexpected in him, a flicker of sadness, a reminder that this place had once been filled with laughter before it became a grave. Brushing it off, he set up his equipment, placing motion sensors in different rooms, explaining to his audience how they would detect any movement, determined to prove once again that fear had no substance. But as time crept closer to the infamous hour, the atmosphere shifted, subtly at first, then unmistakably when one of the sensors beeped from a distant room, and though he quickly investigated, he found nothing, laughing it off as a small animal. Yet the unease lingered, growing stronger when, moments later, multiple sensors began triggering simultaneously from different parts of the building, a phenomenon he struggled to explain even to himself, his rational mind scrambling for answers, while something deeper whispered that this was not normal. The temperature dropped sharply, the air turning icy against his skin, and when he checked his thermometer, the sudden change left him momentarily speechless, his viewers flooding the live stream with comments, some accusing him of staging it, others urging him to leave, but Swastik refused to back down, insisting it was all coincidence, until a sound broke through his words, a faint, distant laughter, high-pitched and overlapping, like children giggling somewhere in the darkness, and for the first time he fell silent, his smile faltering, though he quickly forced a laugh, blaming it on recorded sounds or tricks set up by locals. But the sounds didn't stop. They grew clearer, closer, blending with the creaking of the building and the rustling of unseen movement. And then, in the main hall, something impossible happened. A chair shifted on its own, slowly scraping across the floor, and then another and another, as if invisible hands were dragging them into place. And now the fear was undeniable, visible in his eyes, even as he tried to rationalize it. His voice no longer steady, his confidence cracking under the weight of something he could neither see nor understand. And then came the moment that shattered everything. The camera in his hand began to glitch, the screen distorting with strange lines, and when he looked at it, his blood ran cold, because behind him, clearly visible in the flickering image, stood an old woman, her body still, her white sari stained and burnt, her face marked with scars of fire, and her eyes empty, pale and unblinking, staring directly at him. And when he turned around in terror, there was nothing there, only darkness. Yet when he looked back at the screen, she was still there, closer now, not threatening, but watching, as if waiting for him to understand something. His live stream chat exploded with warnings, people begging him to run, until one comment appeared that froze him completely. It came from his own account, bearing his name, stating that Swastik was already dead. And as panic set in, more messages followed, insisting that this was not a hack, that the truth was far worse. And suddenly, like a piece of shattered glass cutting through his mind, memories came rushing back. The road, the truck, the crash, the realization hitting him with unbearable force as his breathing grew erratic, his body trembling, and when he looked down, he saw it. His feet no longer touching the ground, his hands slowly turning translucent, fading into something that was no longer human. At that moment, the old woman appeared before him, no longer confined to the screen, her presence calm yet overwhelming, and in a soft, sorrowful voice, she told him the truth he could no longer deny, that he had died on that road, that his journey here was not driven by curiosity, but something deeper, something unfinished within him, a desire to confront the very reality he had spent his life denying. Before he could process it, shadows began to emerge from the corners of the hall, twisted, shifting forms crawling along the walls and floor, drawn towards him, their shapes unnatural and suffocating, and the woman warned him that these were not just spirits, but manifestations of fear, of denial, of everything he had refused to accept, and if he allowed them to consume him, he would be trapped forever, lost between worlds. Terrified and desperate, Swastik reached out, pleading for help, and the woman, with a faint, almost maternal sadness in her eyes, extended her hand, telling him it was time to leave, and the moment he took it, the camera fell to the ground, capturing nothing but the empty hall as his form began to dissolve into the air, his fear replaced by a strange, quiet acceptance. The live stream continued, showing only silence until morning, when authorities discovered the camera lying abandoned in the ruins, still recording, yet the building was completely empty, devoid of any sign of life, and later reports confirmed that a man named Swastik, a YouTuber known for exploring haunted places, had died in a road accident that same night, miles away from the orphanage. No one could explain how his camera ended up there or why the footage existed at all, but those who watched until the very last frame claimed that for a brief moment before the screen went black, a figure appeared behind the lens, the same old woman, standing silently, as if guarding a truth the world was never meant to fully understand. A truth that lingers in the shadows, waiting for those who dare to deny it.